Hey everyone, Wonton back to bring another One Piece tournament match. This time we have Big Mom versus Ace, and this is actually our store championships. We had 32 players in this tournament, and unfortunately I wasn't able to finish first, but I did manage to finish third, which I don't think is too bad. So he won the high roll, and so he chose to go first, which is completely fine by me because I can't stress how important it is for yellow to go second. They just curve out so much better, and I can't actually think of a matchup where you would want to go first as yellow. So of course he drops his Searcher, which is buggy, which I think is just an insane card. It's a one drop, 3000 power, can't be killed by slash, and searches too. It's just such a strong card. And I just follow up by dropping my own searcher here. Don't forget, Pudding can only search 4 cards rather than the normal 5. And I take the Brulee because as Big Mom, you do get to play around with triggers, which is what I really like about this deck, and I'm really enjoying it so far early into OP3. So the game plan against Ace is to just take it slow and control the board, and I think it's a very favored matchup for yellow, just because Ace does have to scrap for every life they take from you, and with life regen, as long as you stay relatively healthy into the late game, Ace does tend to run out of steam by the time you reach that point. Ace is a very event heavy deck, and so they don't run as many characters as most other decks, but they are still very strong at gaining board control just because the characters that they do run are very strong, the Marcos, the Aces, and the Whitebeards, and they do run a lot of removal that you have to keep mind of. So I took the life there and I managed to trigger Cracker off of my life, and Yellow does run a few characters with that effect, Smoothie, Cracker, and Paraspero, and every time you do get it off life, I do recommend you activate that trigger. It goes a long way for to helping Yellow survive the early to mid game, and just gives you so much tempo, which translates into board control. And I decide to take a swing at his life, and of course he triggers Flame Emperor off of his life, and just KOs that Cracker we just played. And so easy come, easy go, I guess. But I do believe this is a net positive for us, just because Flame Emperor is more important to him than Cracker is to us. Flame Emperor is one of the win conditions for Ace, and is a card that they really rely on to getting life damage and getting their opponents down. And of course, we're just going to play another Cracker here, just playing on curve. And he's going to take a swing at our leader here. And I know I said early on that we do want to try to stay as healthy as possible life-wise, but as Big Mom, we do want to get to that 3 life point just so we can start utilizing her leader ability. And in case you're wondering why it's at 3 life, even though her leader ability says 2 lives, is because first you take a look at the top or bottom of your life, and then if you have 2 or less life, that you use the second part of her ability. And another important thing about taking that 1 life last turn was that we are now at lower health than him, and so it does enable our Cracker here. So we're going to swing 7,000 with Cracker, and he's going to be forced to block with his Marco. So that tells us he probably doesn't have 3,000 in counter in hand at this moment, because he was forced to give up Marco way earlier than he probably would have liked. And now he's going to just drop Ace here on curve. Ace is a very strong card in this deck, of course, and that's especially when you combo him with a 3-cost event Fire Fist, which allows you to KO a 5,000 and a 4,000 character on your opponent's side of the board. But of course, in this situation especially, you wouldn't want to hold on to it, just because he is beginning to lose control of the board, and Ace is a good way to swing it back into his favor. And that Shirahoshi, we of course placed that on top of our life the previous turn. So we're just going to start off this turn with some very standard stuff. We're going to get some free value here with Pudding into Izzo. He's likely not going to defend that. And we're just going to get some swings in with our leader and our Parasparrow here, just to try to get rid of some of the cards in his hand. He uses his leader ability there just to discard the Radical Beam for the 1000 counter, and then we're just going to bottom life his ace there, just to clear out his board and just try to solidify our board control. And with him sitting at 4 life, now is as good of a time as any for him to just drop Whitebeard here. Then he's going to take a 7000 swing at our life, which I am going to counter out just because we are getting a little bit lower than I would like coming into the Big Mom turn here. And I did notice just now while viewing this video, it is kind of annoying that my sleeves are the same as that 8-drop Katakuri there. He is almost camouflaged, and I actually almost missed him here while I was reviewing this video. And of course we're just going to drop 10-drop Big Mom here. She's just such a strong card, and she is going to be one of your main win conditions in this matchup and plenty of other matchups as well, especially when we can start chaining consecutive 10-drop Big Moms. And as I was mentioning earlier, Ace does have a lot of removal in this deck. As you can see, he just easily KOs that 10-drop Big Mom we just dropped here. And he double attacks, and very fortunately we do manage to get the Brûlée off the trigger. And Brûlée is one of the best cards to get off of trigger just because she is so disruptive to enemy plans. So we're going to just block out that Whitebeard attack immediately because he can just KO Brûlée next turn with Whitebeard's ability. And with 2 cards left in his hand, the best course of action here is to just get rid of the Whitebeard, just because he is starting to run out of steam and Whitebeard is currently his only out. So we're going to swing 12k with Katakuri rather than a guaranteed kill with the 14, just because I think it was worth the risk to save the 2 extra Dawn, as he is very likely not going to be able to counter it, and if he did, he would just be out of cards in hand. So we're going to start working away at his life here. Again, we're just going to play around where it triggers. And the reason I did really want to save that 2 extra Dawn from that earlier attack onto Whitebeard is because I had an Ikoku Sovereignty in my hand, and because we are still at 1-1 life, so the game is still very much up for grabs here, and I just do want that insurance that I can counter out any big swings from him. And he swings with that smaller attack from Buggy just to probably test out the waters to see how I react, and then he's going to plan accordingly. And of course we're just going to counter out of these attacks. And then he's going to just put up a blocker and then leave up 4 active Dawn. And I know that going into this turn, since he only has 1 blocker up, 1 life left, and we do know it's an ace without a counter, and that he only has 4 cards left in his hand, that we could have swung twice with the puddings at 5k, and then allocate the rest of our remaining Dawn for the remaining 3 attacks, and probably would have been able to end the game right there. But at the time, I was afraid of misremembering and just forgetting about any potential event counters that he had that could just disrupt the whole game plan there. And so I thought that the best course of action was to just play it very safe, since the following turn is a guaranteed win anyways, and just play the Big Mom there. And I was still very confident that I could defend against any oncoming attacks the following turn, just because we do still have the Ikoku Sovereignty in hand, plus a few other counters And on top of that, we did put that Thunderbolt at the bottom of that life, so we could get rid of any potential attackers if he does swing incorrectly. And on top of that, we do now have an extra life as well. So after that 7 drop Big Mom, we're just going to use the remainder of the turn to just take our regular swings here. Because who knows, maybe we do manage to punch through. We're not too worried that he takes that ace there, just because ace does cost 7 Dawn, and so we're completely fine if he uses up his entire turn there just to play him. So here he goes for a Flame Emperor to just pop the Big Mom real quick, and then tries to go for a Hail Mary by swinging 9k into our leader, and just, I guess, hoping that we don't actually have a Sovereignty in hand. I believe he was trying to go for game there, and then hoping that I take a double attack hit, and then maybe swing the rest with Marco. And just for good measure, we may as well just keep playing safe here. Just Thunderbolt out the blocker right there. Just take a check swing with our leader, just to draw out a little bit more counters, and just slap the rest of it on to kind of curry just to end the game there. It was a close game, and I think my opponent played it very well, considering that it's a very favorable matchup for him. And I think he still did finish in the top 8 as well. And so congratulations to both of us for a strong finish here at our first in-store championship. And thanks for watching, everyone. That's it for me. If you guys like this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.